Madonna asked him to marry her. He said no. Then she got revenge in the most humiliating way possible. That's just one of the bombshells Vanilla Ice is finally dropping about his real life. From his near-fatal heroin overdose to the shameless lies his team made him tell, the Ice Ice Baby rapper is exposing it all. The fake street cred, the stolen music, the $4 million settlement, and the devastating addiction that almost ended everything. Robert Van Winkle was born on Halloween in 1967 in Dallas, Texas. But from the start, his life was missing something big. He never knew his real father. The name on his birth certificate came from the man his mother was married to at the time. But that man wasn't his dad. Robert grew up not knowing who his biological father was, and that mystery followed him for years. His mother, Camilla, would go on to marry 7 different men, so Robert lived in a house full of change. He had 2 siblings, and each had a different father. It was confusing, and it made him feel like he didn't really know where he belonged. That feeling of being lost never truly left him. It would later shape the way he acted, the way he dressed, and the music he made. When he was just 4 years old, his mother divorced again, and everything started moving fast. One year he'd be in Dallas, the next he'd be in Miami. Back and forth, his new stepdad worked at a car dealership in Miami, so Robert had to follow along. These 2 places couldn't have been more different. In Texas, things were quieter, more traditional. Miami, on the other hand, was loud, colorful, full of energy and people from all over the world. This constant moving made it hard to make friends, so Robert found comfort in things he could do alone, or with people who shared his passions. He got into breakdancing. He also loved motocross. He needed something that made him feel like he belonged, and those 2 things gave him a sense of identity when everything else around him kept changing. By the time he was 13 or 14, Robert had found his crew, a group of breakdancers he practiced with in Texas. He was the only white kid in the group, and his friends started calling him Vanilla. At first, he hated it. He pushed back, thinking it was just because of his skin color. But the more he protested, the more they teased him. The nickname stuck. Later on, he created a dance move that looked like he was sliding on ice. His friends would shout, "Vanilla, do that ice move!" Before long, Vanilla and Ice got put together. That's how the name Vanilla Ice was born. Funny enough, the name he once tried to fight off ended up becoming a huge part of who he was. But back then, music wasn't his main thing. Motocross was. He was a natural. At just 15, he had already won 3 championships and collected hundreds of trophies. People saw a future for him in the sport. Then, in 1985, everything changed. During a race, he broke his ankle badly. He couldn't ride for a long time. With all that free time, he turned back to breakdancing. Slowly, as his ankle healed, dancing turned into rapping. He discovered something surprising. He liked performing even more than racing. It made him feel alive in a way motocross didn't. Once he was fully healed, he didn't go back to the bike. He went all in on music. Then came one night in January 1987 that would change everything. Robert was at a nightclub in South Dallas called City Light. He wasn't planning to perform, just hang out, but a friend named Squirrel dared him to jump on stage during open mic. At first, Robert hesitated. The crowd was mostly black, and here he was, a white guy with a stage name born from teasing. Still, he took the dare. He started breakdancing, beatboxing, and rapping, just like he'd done on the streets. The crowd, at first quiet, started getting into it. By the end of his performance, they were cheering. That one night gave him the push he needed. The club manager, John Bush, came up to him right after and offered him a regular spot. From there, things took off. He started opening for big names like Public Enemy, NWA, and 2 Live Crew. It was a huge leap. Sharing the stage with the biggest names in hip-hop gave him the chance to sharpen his skills and win over new fans. Between 1987 and 1989, he became a regular part of the Dallas scene. His shows weren't just rap, they were a full performance, with dancing, interaction, and energy that filled the room. Nobody saw it coming. In 1990, a song by an unknown white rapper from Texas suddenly changed music history. That rapper was Vanilla Ice, and the song was Ice Ice Baby. What's wild is that the track wasn't even supposed to be a hit. It was just the B-side to another song called Play That Funky Music. But when DJs played it, crowds lit up. One DJ in particular, David Morales, noticed that people went crazy for Ice Ice Baby, so he pushed it instead. The beat was catchy, the lyrics were simple, and it had something familiar. Vanilla Ice had used the bass line from Queen and David Bowie's Under Pressure. He didn't ask for permission at first, which caused legal problems later. But none of that mattered in the moment. The song shot to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. It was the first rap song ever to do that. It didn't stop there. It became a hit around the world, topping charts in the UK, Australia, Ireland, and more. The music video? It was shot on a rooftop in Dallas for just $8,000. Ice danced around in his now famous haircut and oversized clothes. MTV played it non-stop. Suddenly, everyone knew who Vanilla Ice was. And just like that, hip-hop had crossed into the mainstream in a way it never had before. Even if the hip-hop community had mixed feelings about it, there was no denying the impact. His album, To the Extreme, dropped in September 1990. It exploded. In 5 weeks, it had sold over 2 million copies. By November, it hit #1 on the Billboard 200, knocking MC Hammer out of the top spot. It stayed there for 16 weeks. The album went gold, platinum, double platinum, triple, and quadruple platinum all in one day. Within 6 months, it sold 15 million copies worldwide. Vanilla Ice went from broke to rich almost overnight. He bought houses across the country, including one next to actor Michael J. Fox. He thought he had wasted the money, but later sold those homes for millions. That move kicked off a real estate career that ended up earning him nearly $800,000 a year by 2018. Not bad for someone people once called a one-hit wonder. Back in 1990 and 1991, though, he was everywhere. Vanilla Ice was different. He wasn't like the other rappers. He had a clean image. He danced, he smiled, parents didn't mind him. That made him huge with suburban teens and their parents' wallets. Suddenly, rap wasn't just for the streets. It was on daytime TV, in malls, on lunchboxes. But the success came with a price. Real rappers didn't take him seriously. They saw him as a fake, a pop star using rap as a costume. Some said he was stealing from black culture without showing respect. Others just thought he wasn't that good. Eminem later admitted he hated how popular Vanilla Ice got, saying it made him feel like giving up rap altogether. Still, Ice had his moment. In 1991, he racked up major awards. At the American Music Awards, he won Favorite Pop Rock New Artist and Favorite Rap Hip Hop New Artist, beating names like Mariah Carey and Digital Underground. He won at the People's Choice Awards too, with Ice Ice Baby taking Best New Song. Kids loved him, so he also grabbed 2 awards at the Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards, Favorite Male Singer and Favorite Song. He was even nominated for a Grammy. He didn't win, but by then, it didn't matter. He was already part of music history. In 1990, Vanilla Ice released a song that changed his life forever. It was called Ice Ice Baby, and it quickly became a massive hit. But behind the success was a big problem. The bass line of the song sounded almost exactly like Under Pressure by Queen and David Bowie. Vanilla Ice didn't give them credit. He didn't ask for permission either. When people noticed the similarity, Vanilla Ice tried to explain it away. In an interview, he said the bass lines were different because he added 1 extra beat. He even tried to show the difference by saying his version went ding 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 dingy ding dink, while Queen's went ding 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 ding. Years later, he admitted that his excuse was just a joke. Queen and David Bowie's team didn't laugh. They threatened to sue him for stealing their music. In the end, Vanilla Ice settled the case privately. The deal reportedly cost him $4 million. After that, Queen and Bowie were given official credit as writers of Ice Ice Baby. This moment changed more than just Vanilla Ice's career. It changed the way the music industry looked at sampling. Before this, many hip-hop artists used samples from other songs without getting in trouble. The rules weren't clear, but Vanilla Ice's case made everything stricter. Suddenly, producers and rappers had to get legal permission to use any sample. If they didn't, they risked being sued. Vanilla Ice became the example everyone used, a warning for what could happen if you didn't clear your samples. Even though the scandal hurt him, Vanilla Ice later said he was proud to have played a role in changing the industry. He believed his case helped make sampling more accepted, at least once it became clear how to do it the legal way. But while the legal battle made history, Vanilla Ice's music career was starting to fade. After Ice Ice Baby hit #1 on the charts, his next singles didn't do as well. Play That Funky Music was a small hit in Australia, but didn't reach the same level of fame. His other songs, like I Love You and Rollin' in My 5.0, didn't catch on. He even tried releasing a song that mentioned his Mustang and street racing in Miami, but fans had moved on. Even a flashy music video couldn't save it. The damage was done. The sampling scandal had stuck with him, and his reputation never really recovered. In the music world, he was now known as the guy who stole a song from two legends. His next album didn't chart at all. Other rappers made fun of him in their songs and videos. Groups like Third Base mocked him directly, and rappers like Delta Funky Homo Sapien and Eminem took shots at him too. Ice tried to fight back with songs of his own, but nothing worked. Vanilla Ice was still riding high from the massive success of Ice Ice Baby when he found himself in a whirlwind romance with one of the biggest stars in the world, Madonna. He was in his early 20s, just starting to taste fame. She was already a global icon. It started fast, and it got serious even faster. They met after one of his shows at the New York Palladium. Vanilla Ice spotted her dancing in the crowd. She stood out, surrounded by her entourage, moving like she owned the place. He couldn't believe it. Madonna? At his concert? After the show, she came backstage. He thought maybe he was reading things wrong, but she gave him a look that told him otherwise. Still, he brushed it off at first. She was older, more experienced, already a legend. He figured there was no way she'd actually be into him, but she was. A record executive, Charles Koppelman, stepped in and made it official. He set up a date for them at the Palm Steakhouse in New York. Just like that, the two stars were dating. It didn't take long before they were making headlines together. And even though things moved fast, Vanilla Ice was still shocked when Madonna asked him to marry her. He didn't see it coming. He was young and still getting used to fame. He couldn't believe she'd flip the script like that. "I thought the guy was supposed to do that," he later said. "It felt too soon, too intense." He turned her down. He told her he wasn't ready. And just like that, a possible pop culture power couple was no more. But that wasn't the end. The real break came later. In 1992, Madonna released a provocative book called Sex. It was full of explicit photos and bold imagery. Vanilla Ice was in it too, but he didn't know until it was too late. He was furious. He hadn't agreed to any of it, and he felt betrayed. He was still with her when she put it together, and yet she never told him he'd be part of it. He called it disgusting, cheap. He couldn't believe she'd done that to him. They had been in a relationship, but the book made it seem like she was with everyone else. He asked her why she did it. He even thought about suing her, but in the end, he walked away without making it a legal battle. He just wanted to be done with it. Years later, he revealed even more. In a 2017 interview, he said Madonna never really let go of her ex-husband, Sean Penn. During their time together, she talked about Penn often. She told Vanilla Ice that she still loved him. That stayed with him. He always felt like he was in someone else's shadow, and that maybe her heart was never fully in it. Looking back, it made sense why things didn't last. Between the book and the ghost of her past, the relationship never stood a real chance. In 1991, Vanilla Ice put out an autobiography called Ice by Ice. At the time, he was at the top of the charts, and fans were curious to know more about him. But the book wasn't an honest look into his life. It was filled with made-up stories. He said he grew up in the rough streets of Miami, was part of a gang, went to a mostly black high school with rapper Luther Campbell, and even raced motocross professionally for Team Honda. He also claimed his mother was a music teacher at a Florida university. None of that was true. These stories weren't just random lies. They were carefully chosen. They helped him seem tougher and more connected to the hip-hop world. But the truth was very different. Vanilla Ice, whose real name is Robert Van Winkle, came from a middle-class background in suburban Dallas. When reporters started digging into his past, the whole thing began to fall apart. It all started in November 1990, just days after his album To the Extreme hit #1. A reporter in Dallas got a tip from some of Ice's old classmates. During their first interview, Ice repeated the fake biography almost word for word. But when the reporter came back with the real facts, Ice got angry and started yelling over the phone. The next day, the story exploded in the national news. More reporters joined in. They found out he never went to school with Luther Campbell. His mom only taught at a small college, not a university, and he never raced professionally. He had competed in local races in Texas, but that was it. The Miami high school he claimed to attend had no record of him at all. fall. Slowly, it became clear that Vanilla Ice had built his whole image on lies. And the timing couldn't have been worse. Just a year earlier, the Milli Vanilli scandal had exposed another major music act for faking their story. Now the public and the press were on high alert. People were tired of being fooled. When the pressure mounted, Ice tried to dodge the blame. He said it was his manager's fault. He claimed he had no idea what was in the official biography and acted surprised when someone read it back to him. But his manager told a different story. He said Ice gave him all the information himself. Caught between two versions, Ice started changing his tune. He said he made up details to protect his privacy. He didn't want people finding out who he really was. He even said he was a bad kid and that the real story was worse than the fake one. At one point, he said he just didn't expect the record to blow up the way it did. He hadn't planned for that kind of fame. But the damage was already done. Critics came after him hard. They called him the Elvis of rap, a white performer making huge money off black music, while serious rappers like Public Enemy struggled to get on the radio. At the time, hip-hop was becoming more political and more real, but Vanilla Ice, with his watered-down pop style, was topping the charts. That didn't sit well with hardcore fans. Writers at respected hip-hop magazines didn't hold back. One editor called Vanilla Ice a musical and artistic crime. He said Ice had no real talent and would probably sell more records than KRS-One, who had been making powerful music for years. Another writer said it felt like rap was dying. First MC Hammer, now Vanilla Ice. And this music was blasting from car speakers all over New York. It felt like a nightmare. In 1991, he starred in Cool as Ice, a film meant to ride the wave of his fame. But the movie flopped so badly that people laughed at it instead of watching it. Critics tore it apart, and it made less than $1 million at the box office. Not long after, Nirvana released Nevermind, and just like that, music tastes shifted. Ice's flashy style suddenly felt old and out of place. Even the soundtrack failed. His fame vanished almost instantly. People who had once screamed for him were now calling him a joke. The fall hit him hard. He went from playing huge arenas to barely hanging on. With his career slipping away, he turned to drugs. By 1993, he was using ecstasy, cocaine, and heroin regularly. At the same time, he tried changing his image, grew dreadlocks, became a vegetarian, and got deep into the Rastafari lifestyle. During his worst binges, he kept getting tattoos, later admitting he didn't even remember how many he got. His second album, Mind Blowin', came out in 1994, but critics hated it. That same year, on the 4th of July, everything came crashing down. He overdosed on heroin and nearly died. His friends saved him, and he later said that moment changed him. He got a leaf tattoo on his stomach to remind himself of the second chance he'd been given. After that, he stepped away from music. He needed something different, something real. He threw himself into extreme sports like motocross and jet skiing. By 1995, he was ranked number 6 in the world for sit-down jet ski racing. He even got a sponsorship from Kawasaki. For a while, it seemed like he had found peace. In 1997, he got married to Laura Giarita. They had 2 daughters together, and for a while, his life looked more stable. But the problems didn't stop. In 2001, and again in 2008, he was arrested for domestic violence. Laura stayed with him through it, but their relationship was rocky. He pleaded guilty in the first case. The second one was dropped. They stayed together for almost 20 years, but by 2016, it was over. Laura filed for divorce, and reports said they had already been separated for a while before that. It was the end of one of the longer celebrity marriages out there, but it had been troubled for years. Even during his marriage, Vanilla Ice was still trying to stay relevant. After the huge success of his debut album, everything else he released fell flat. His 1994 album didn't even make it onto the charts. Meanwhile, music was changing fast. Grunge and gangsta rap took over, and nobody wanted to hear bubblegum pop rap anymore. Things got worse when people found out that parts of his official biography were made up. He blamed his manager, but fans had stopped believing in him. In a last attempt to win people back, he tried to reinvent himself. In 1998, he released Hard to Swallow, a rap-rock album produced by Ross Thomas Robinson. It had a darker sound, and he called it his therapy session, but it didn't help. More albums came and went without much notice. Eventually, he turned to reality TV to stay in the spotlight. He boxed other celebrities on TV and joined shows like The Surreal Life. It wasn't music, but it kept his name out there. When the Vanilla Ice project first aired in 2010, most people rolled their eyes. Robert Van Winkle, better known as Vanilla Ice, had long been written off as a washed-up rapper from the 90s. But something unexpected happened. The show took off. For 9 seasons, viewers watched him transform crumbling mansions in Florida into beautiful, high-end homes. Suddenly, Vanilla Ice wasn't just a punchline anymore, he was a legit home renovator. What most people didn't know was that this wasn't some random TV gimmick. Van Winkle had been buying homes since his early 20s, originally as places to stay while on tour. He wasn't flipping them at first, he was just holding on to them. Then, years later, when he started selling those properties, he made a surprising amount of money. Even without fixing them up, that early success opened his eyes to the real estate game. By 2018, he was making around $800,000 a year from real estate alone. So when the cameras started rolling, it wasn't a celebrity pretending to know what he was doing. He actually did. He'd gone to design school. He'd spent time working as a general contractor. He wasn't just pointing at things and nodding for the camera. He was right there in the dirt with his team, swinging hammers and laying tile. His excitement was real, and it showed. Over time, people stopped seeing him as a former pop star and started seeing him as a skilled renovator with a creative eye. His audience shifted. He wasn't just talking to fans of Ice Ice Baby anymore. He was talking to homeowners, weekend warriors, and people who genuinely cared about making their spaces better. But things almost fell apart in 2015. While filming a new season, he was arrested for burglary and grand theft. Police said he took items from a foreclosed house next to one he was renovating. Furniture, a pool heater, bicycles. It all added up to more than $6,000. The items were found at a nearby home tied to him. Suddenly, the comeback story was at risk. DIY Network hit pause. Vanilla Ice downplayed it in interviews, saying it was blown out of proportion and would be cleared up. Still, the damage was done. The public watched closely to see if the show and his new career could survive the hit. He managed to weather the storm. The charges didn't stick the way people expected, and the show eventually resumed. If anything, the scandal reminded people how fragile redemption can be when it plays out in front of millions. But Van Winkle kept moving forward. He stayed hands-on, kept renovating, and kept building trust with his new fan base. What helped him stick around wasn't just his skills on camera. It was the way he turned those skills into business. He wasn't just flipping houses for TV anymore. He created a real estate company, Vanilla Ice Real Estate, buying distressed properties and selling them for big profits. Between 2018 and 2020, he was flipping 6 to 10 houses a year, often selling each for well over $1 million. Then came the product lines: Vanilla Ice Rugs, Vanilla Ice Lighting. His name started popping up in home stores, not music charts. He even launched training programs to teach people how to succeed in real estate like he had. And he wasn't done. In 2021, he partnered with Brandstar Studios to create a new show, this one with cutting-edge virtual production tech. He brought viewers into celebrity homes, showing off luxury renovations while giving practical tips to regular folks. It wasn't just entertainment anymore. It was education, innovation, and smart branding all rolled into one.